Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're looking at something truly monumental. We're going to explore how a massive, totally unprecedented global conflict fundamentally reshaped the modern world, literally rewrote the map, and in the process, forged the entire national identity of a young country on the exact opposite side of the planet. We're talking about World War I, often called the Great War, and specifically the enduring legacy it left behind for Australia.
Okay, let's dive into this, because it's honestly one of history's most compelling mysteries. How does the assassination of just one man in Eastern Europe end up creating a defining cultural milestone for a country tens of thousands of miles away? Well, to understand this, we've got to look way past the simple battle lines. We need to map out the explosive mix that triggered the war, explore the defining and tragic involvement of the Anzacs, and try to look through the eyes of the people who actually lived it.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The global powder keg. 2. Destination Gallipoli. 3. Practicing historical empathy. And 4. A legacy forged.
Section 1. The global powder keg, building the European war machine.
Now, what's really interesting here is that World War I didn't just explode out of nowhere on a random Tuesday. By 1914, Europe had spent decades meticulously building an incredibly unstable, highly volatile geopolitical machine. The conditions were just perfectly set. Historians usually summarize these long-term structural forces with the acronym M.A.I.N. Think of these 4 points like stacking up bone-dry wood for a massive bonfire. First up, militarism. Superpowers like Britain and Germany were locked in this fierce, almost paranoid competition to build the biggest armies and navies. Then alliances. Europe was completely webbed with secret, binding defense pacts, like the Triple Entente and the Triple Alliance. Basically, if 2 nations fought, everyone fought. Add to that imperialism, which was a ruthless global race to lock down colonies and raw materials. And finally, nationalism. You had this intense, unyielding pride in one's country, mixed with ethnic groups who were just absolutely desperate for independence. It was a total recipe for disaster.
So with all that highly combustible fuel stacked up, all it took was a single spark. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of the Austro-Hungarian Empire was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist in Sarajevo. Now, initially, this was a localized regional event, but because of the geopolitical architecture we were just talking about, this was the fateful match dropped right into the European powder keg.
Following this domino effect is honestly terrifying. Because of that complex web of secret alliances, Austria-Hungary declaring war on Serbia triggered an unstoppable chain reaction. Russia stepped in, then Germany, then France, and by August 4, 1914, Britain declared war on Germany. Now, because Australia was a dominion of the British Empire, the very moment Britain was at war, Australia was automatically pulled into the deadliest, most industrialized conflict the world had ever seen.
Section 2. Destination Gallipoli. From global strategy to muddy trenches.
If we zoom in from the massive European theater to the specific, tragic involvement of the young Australian nation, you'll see the initial response back home was overwhelmingly enthusiastic. Prime Minister Andrew Fisher famously pledged to defend Britain, quote, "to our last man and our last shilling," and thousands of young men eagerly lined up to join the Australian imperial force. They were heavily influenced by British culture and adventure novels. They honestly expected a quick, patriotic adventure, a chance to travel the world, and a way to prove their young nation's worth. They had absolutely no concept of the industrialized nightmare that was waiting for them.
And this brilliantly illustrates the horrific disconnect between high-level military planning and combat reality. The grand, super neat British naval strategy was meant to land forces on the Gallipoli Peninsula in April 1915, force open the Dardanelles Strait, knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war, and supply their ally Russia. Sounds simple, right? Well, the reality on the ground was a catastrophic stalemate. The Australian and New Zealand soldiers, the Anzacs, found themselves pinned down on these tiny, narrow beaches, fighting from trenches dug into sheer, jagged cliffs under relentless Ottoman gunfire.
The living conditions they endured are almost unimaginable for us today. For 8 agonizing months, troops on both sides didn't just fight each other, they were fighting the environment. They suffered through extreme, blistering heat. They were tormented by thick plagues of flies that covered literally every piece of food they tried to eat. Dysentery completely ravaged the camps. Trench rot destroyed their feet, and all of this was happening while living under the constant, deafening roar of artillery bombardment.
By the time the Allied forces finally executed a silent evacuation in December 1915, more than 8,700 Australians had lost their lives on those cliffs. 8,700! Just let that number sit for a second. It was an absolutely massive human cost for a military campaign that ultimately completely failed to achieve its strategic objectives.
Section 3. Practicing historical empathy. The two sides of the trench. So the crucial point is to truly grasp this profound human cost. We have to zoom in even further, right down to the individual human level on both sides of the trench. To do that, we use a critical detective's lens called historical empathy. Now, this isn't about just feeling sorry for people in the past, and it's certainly not about excusing their actions. It's the cognitive process of stepping into the shoes of historical actors to figure out why they made their choices, based strictly on the beliefs, the society pressures, and the limited knowledge they had available right at that exact moment in time.
When we apply this empathy lens to Gallipoli, we see two radically different realities colliding. On one side, the enlisting Anzac soldier. Like we discussed, these guys were driven by imperial loyalty. They viewed this as their duty and a grand adventure, totally naive to the horrific realities of machine guns. But on the other side, the Ottoman defender. Under commanders like Mustafa Kemal, these soldiers were fighting for their immediate homeland against a foreign invasion. They didn't see the Anzacs as adventurous boys. They saw an absolute existential threat to their soil and their families. They were driven by fierce territorial defense. Putting these side by side reveals the ultimate heartbreaking tragedy of World War I. You have young men who had zero personal hatred for one another, slaughtering each other in droves, simply because they were trapped by global alliance structures completely beyond their control.
Section 4. A legacy forged. The global and national aftermath.
Zooming all the way back out, the geographical and social significance of this conflict simply cannot be overstated. Practically overnight, centuries-old dynasties, the German, Austro-Hungarian, Russian, and Ottoman empires, just completely collapsed. The war debuted terrifying modern military technology on a mass scale, forever changing how humans fight. Back home, the sheer strain of the war transformed society, accelerating women's entry into the industrial workforce and really pushing the women's suffrage movement forward. And globally, agreements like the Treaty of Versailles in 1919 redrew the maps of Europe and the Middle East, creating artificial borders that quite frankly continue to spark geopolitical tension to this very day.
For Australia, the scale of the grief was difficult to comprehend. The 8,700 lost at Gallipoli was literally just a beginning. By the end of World War I, more than 60,000 Australians had lost their lives across various fronts, including the incredibly brutal Western Front in France and Belgium. To put that into perspective with Australia's relatively small population at the time, this staggering number meant that almost every single community, every neighborhood, every tiny town back home was deeply and permanently affected by the loss of their young men.
Yet, out of that profound grief and horrific loss, a powerful cultural milestone was born, the Anzac legend. The bravery, resilience, and sacrifice shown by those soldiers became closely associated with the very identity of Australia itself. It forged a distinct national character centered around the concepts of mateship, incredible endurance, and courage under intense fire. It's a legacy that continues to profoundly shape Australia's collective memory, honored every single year on April 25th for Anzac Day.
So, I want to leave you with this thought as we wrap up today's explainer. When you look at the map of the modern world, the political tensions we see on the news every single night, and the deeply held national identities of countries like Australia, you really have to ask yourself, how much of our present reality is still being defined by the echoes of those muddy trenches from over a century ago? It's fascinating and deeply sobering to realize that the shadows of the Great War are still very much with us today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and we'll see you next time.